What's up, everybody? I'm Dan Tenorio93, and I'm here to take you through the top moments of Round 3 in the ISRL GT Sport Championship. This is Season 2. We got 10 drivers on the grid right now, always looking for new drivers, but even with 10 drivers on the grid, the racing is still pretty top-notch. Green light, everybody's away. Gamer Dad gets a little bit more wheel spin than I know he would have liked, but he recovers pretty well. First turn, let's take a look. Everybody gets through pretty unscathed, actually. Turn 1 always likes to breed a little bit of chaos, but everybody gets through pretty well. This week we're at Spa in the wet, as you can see. Spa is a notoriously challenging track, but adding rain to it takes it up to the next level. Very little room for error. Put one wheel on the grass and it's almost a guaranteed spin, and recovering from that spin is pretty difficult. Right now though, everybody looks like they're filing in, finding their own spot on the track, keeping their cool, trying to get through lap 1 as cleanly as possible. First battle I wanted to take a look at was D-Rob versus Gernman here. Gernman in the Porsche and D-Rob in the Volkswagen. You can see Gernman struggling a little bit to keep control of his Porsche there. Usually a pretty stable car, but in these wet conditions it's pretty hard to keep control of. Up and down race for Gernman, I'd say. He had a couple of off-track excursions, but this was probably one of the highlights, or the highlight of the race for him. You can see him following D-Rob through the bus stop here, and he's just gonna find an open door here, send it down the inside. Very clean move. No touching, no bumping or anything like that. Both drivers held their lines very well, and Herman gets the job done. Unfortunately, a little later in the race, he's gonna lose control and end up in the barrier, letting D-Rob go past again, but very clean move by him. Next up, we got a battle between two very good drivers, Pretzels and D-Rob. We just saw D-Rob in the previous clip getting overtaken by Gernman, but like I said, Gernman's gonna bin it in this next corner, leaving these two to do battle in a clean and open track. You can see there, Pretzels is all over the rear diffuser of Roberts here. I love GT Sports so much. Where else are you going to talk about a Beetle and a GTR duking it out on the track? Those two cars usually aren't said in the same sentence, but in GT Sport, here we are. Like I said, very good battle here. They're all over each other for most of the race, actually. Pretzels has a look down the inside here. Nothing going on there. Gonna try and cut to the outside, get a little bit more slipstream down the main straight here. Cut it down the outside, but it's almost impossible to go around the outside of this hairpin here. D-Rob does a very good job of cutting off the apex, cutting off any potential of an undercut. But you're gonna see here, Pretzels uses a great exit out of Eau Rouge and great slipstream down the Kemmel straight here to eventually get D-Rob. Pretty clinical move. You see this a lot in real life racing, even just using the slipstream, going down the inside, parking it on the apex, blocking D-Rob from trying to make any counter move here, and holding it through this complex. We're gonna jump a little bit later in this lap. Both of them still on top of each other. Pretzel's holding on for dear life there. You can see the GTR getting a little squirrely. That's a lot of power to be putting down on a wet track. This track is so treacherous in the wet. Pretzels is gonna get a huge amount of oversteer. I'm surprised he actually saved that. It's very hard to save a car once you go out on that AstroTurf on the other side of that curb. They're going to go side by side through this corner. Incredibly tough corner to go side by side. D-Rob eventually Lets him go through. Probably the smart move. Usually that spells disaster going side by side through a Blanchiment. Lets Pretzels go through. Pretzels is going to hold it through the bus stop there and hold on to the position. Very good battle between these guys. Very clean. Now this is the point where this week went from great to forgettable for Pewd. You can see he's coming in for his scheduled pit stop on lap 9. I left the race info overlay on for a reason. You can see on the left there, it looks like he's coming in for intermediates. Everybody was running those tires instead of the wets because they were actually faster in the rain here. Pretty normal pit stop. Gets tires, fueling up now. Everything's normal, everything's great until he gets out of the pits. You can see they put him on softs. Soft tires are definitely not the tire you want to be on in the rain. Although they were only about 7 or 8 tenths slower per lap, that's gonna add up. Then about a lap and a half later, he tries to come in again to get back onto the intermediates, but for some reason, once you go onto the dry weather tires in this game, there's no going back. You can't go back to the intermediates or the wets. Once you're on dry tires, you're on dry tires for the rest of the race. So he tries to go in there, realizes he can't switch tires, and you can see he goes back out on the softs. Just lost him a whole bunch of time. He was running in second. He was pretty much set up to finish second in this race. But you can see now he has Pretzels and D. Roberts right behind him now. And yeah, unfortunately he's gonna be stuck on softs for the rest of the race, and kind of just puts him on the back foot for the rest of this round, and not fun at all. We talked about one Beetle earlier in the race. Now we get to talk about his teammate, GamerDad, the other Beetle on the grid here. This time, it's actually a battle with me. It was a great battle. It actually went on the entire race. The entire 50 minutes, we were both less than a second apart. Great battle, very similar pace. It was a lot of fun, and GamerDad will definitely agree that it was a very hard-fought battle and very good driving. You can see he gets a great run on me. Out of Eau Rouge is actually gonna go around the outside here. Like I said, very clean driving. We get very close, but we don't touch. And he's gonna pull off the very difficult move around the outside there. Usually 2 cars can't go through that chicane. But he does it. He does it very well, and actually goes around the outside, holds it through the horseshoe there, going through this left-hander. I'm actually going to get a little bit of a better run through that left-hander than him, and not a normal overtaking spot on this track, but I saw the opportunity, the door was open, so I sent it down the inside there, kind of caught him off guard. But you can see he gets right back in the slipstream and stays right on my tail. We're actually gonna watch his point of view of that same move and just see how much of a better run he got than me out of Eau Rouge. And even though that Beetle is underpowered, I have him by about 40 horsepower. You can see when he pulls out of the slipstream, he loses all of his straight line speed, but even with that power deficit in the slipstream in this game, there's no battling it other than late braking. But yeah, he goes around the outside. Like I said before, a very difficult move, very good driving by him. Gonna go around here, hold it on the apex just so I can't stick my nose through. You can see I'm right on his tail and his rear view mirror there on the left. I just get a slightly better exit, like I said before, and I'm just gonna send it down the inside. Door was open, so might as well go for it. A little bit later in the race, still side by side, still battling, and we're actually going to try and go into the pits at the same exact time. Usually that doesn't work out too well. I didn't know he was pitting, he didn't know I was pitting, but in the end it didn't really matter there. Gamer Dad jumps me in the pits, under fuels a little bit, but like I said before, when you get a good run out of Eau Rouge and you use the overpowered slipstream in this game, you're almost guaranteed to net a position, and I'm able to send it down the inside here, take the position pretty cleanly, and that's actually how we're going to finish. We finished 3rd and 4th this race. Pube's day goes from bad to worse here. It's actually the last lap of the race. He's trying to finish on those softs and he loses it coming out of the hairpin. It's easy to do on wet tires, even easier to do on slicks. Like I said before, dry tires and rain, they usually don't mix. He's gonna try and hold this position here against Pretzels, but ultimately spinning on the hairpin there, you're already compromising your entry and exit through Eau Rouge, and he has to give up 5th place to Pretzels. Kudos to Pretzels though. He had a great race. He actually had the 2nd fastest lap of the race behind Clam. Great race from him. But yeah, definitely a forgettable week for Pubed. Gonna finish here with the fastest lap of our winner this week. Clam was dominant throughout this entire weekend. Through practice and qualifying, he was consistently running in the 229s. Everybody else was kind of right in that 230, 231 area, but he was pretty much in a class of his own this weekend. Great pace, great tire management, great strategy, very, very dominant performance overall. While we go through this lap, very flawless lap I might add, lap 18 of the race, 18 of 20. Not particularly fresh tires, low fuel, but just had a flawless lap. But while we watch this, we're gonna go through the final race classification. Obviously Clam taking home the win for this week, with Sweet Crown and myself finishing up the podium. Behind us, Gamer Dad and Pretzels rounds out the top 5. After that, Pubed finished 6th after his pit stop blunder and consequential spin. After him, D. Roberts finishes 7th, with ISRL Gernman finishing right behind him in 8th, and Smithy Jr. and Speed Freak rounding out the field. Very good race overall. I was honestly expecting a little bit more carnage, a little bit more spinning from our drivers here, but everybody was able to keep control, stay cool under pressure, especially in the wet. Like I said before, Spa is very tricky in the wet, but everybody handled it like pros. Everybody drove very clean. All the battles on track were very respectable, very, very clean, and very good driving overall. Gonna put up the championship standings here. You can see Sweet Crown extends his lead a little bit at the top of the standings. Gamer Dad right behind him, only 9 points behind him. Myself still in the hunt with 43 points in 3rd. Gernman in 4th with 29 points. Clam with his victory, fastest lap and pole position for this race, gets 27 points. He switched cars in the last round, so he forfeited all his points, but he's right there in the mix now after that victory, sitting in a comfortable 5th. Pretzels right behind him with 24 points. Smithy Jr. 14. D. Roberts with 10. cubed after a little bit of a disappointing showing in ninth there with 8 points. Speed Freak with 4, and NGR Burnt Fry, he'll be back in a couple of weeks here, sitting in 11th with 1 point. Want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's Top Moments. Working on getting these races live streamed so you can watch them live right here on YouTube. But until then, for ISRL and the Gran Turismo Sport Championship, we'll see you next week.